Welcome to the conclusion of our course, Domestication. I hope by now that you've had some really keen insights. You might have been stirred up a little bit. A few things might not have set well with you entirely, but those are seeds. Let them germinate. Plant them in, think about them. You don't have to accept or reject anything right off the cuff. All you got to do is just let it sit in there and germinate a little bit and see how it feels for you after you get a good night's sleep for 2 or 3, or a couple months go by. It might be a couple years that go by and you say, you know what? I kind of have a change in how I think. The conclusion is I want you to really appreciate why it's important to wake up. I want you to know what waking up means. In part, this is a small part of waking up. Waking up means that you learn about your footing. So when you're outside, you're walking in nature, you're instantaneously looking down and looking up and looking all around yourself, because you become the sensory organ that you were when you were first born, and someone baptized you upside the head when you came out of the womb. They put eye drops in you, they stuck your heel with a PK test, they started vaccinating you with lots of artificial and natural viruses, unnaturally so, and most of the time a lot of babies were given infant baby formula, a pure starch that gummed up your ability to digest and absorb nutrients. So right from the gate, you were compromised. So of course you fell asleep. But now it's your time to wake up, and that's why I'm here in this course with you. The more people that wake up, the more potential and ability we have for forming a world family. So you can see why there's a hidden agenda from many people, including some of those Indo-Aryans, that probably don't want people to wake up at all. In fact, they don't want people to wake up at all so much that they've got all kinds of drugs planted out there for you. They've got all kinds of trap music. They've got tons of food so you can constantly orally gratify yourself. Food festivals are everywhere all summer long, and they're even during the winter. Now, food's great. We got to have food to get by. We need calories. But the kind of food that we ate originally, like we talked about in our food section, is almost nowhere to be found. There's no electricity in it. You no longer eat foods that would grow wild and abundant all over the place. They needed to make you domesticated, to bring you into the sense of feeling as though you're within your home. You're safe here. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, because the minute that you can't buy the food, buy the shelter, buy the insurance, the taxes, the utilities, and everything else, you become a little too old or a little too injured, or you become sick, and somehow you made it through this rabid obstacle course without hideous anxiety and depression and something that looks akin to mania and bipolar. You won't be able to buy these things anymore, and then you become what? An outcast. And an outcast becomes a bum or a homeless, what I call a houseless, because they no longer have a house, but they still always travel with their home. So when we build a world family and we build spiral communities like I'm going to detail in my forthcoming book, we're going to end up making sure that everyone has a shelter and that they're packed up together, that people learn codes of conduct so that they can agree to disagree, and that food forests grow everywhere, with many people participating in the germination as well as the seedlings, collecting the food, preparing the food, and tenderly taking care of it in a mineral-rich soil. We wouldn't think not to ozonate and make sure that there's plenty of sulfur, potassium, and all kinds of minerals that we need to have within our soil. But commercial food practices, or what I call the food industry, has absolutely no regard other than making your produce look shiny and seed-free and all of the things that are actually going to harm you. So now, can you turn your way out of trap music? Can you start to make selective decisions about not getting the shot in the arm? You don't need the flu shot, the pneumonia shot, or the shingles shot. Those are all a hoax. The same way your dog doesn't need the Lyme shot, he doesn't need leptospirosis, he doesn't need the parvovirus, and he doesn't need many of the other things that are given to them, like the front line down their back. Can you walk away from systems that require your allegiance so that you will necessarily conform, and that you will find yourself filling a societal expectation that you have built as an illusion inside of your mind? Will you continue to work until you're 67, 70, or 75 years old so you can retire and you can be recycled again? Because by the time you do that, without really putting your investments in your memory banks and your health, all you have is a bank account, and that's not going to take you very far. Your joints aren't going to be flexible, your mind isn't going to be flexible in the way that it thinks, and you're not going to be able to be a good contributor as an elder who's worthy of love, kindness, and wisdom and respect. So to carry that wisdom, you need to have your vessel ready and prepared to accept coming into the place of your 9th high moon, where you become a wise elder, wise man, wise woman, the wise crone, in the old traditions dating pre-Christianity. Take a moment and actually read the book by Merlin Stone, When God Was a Woman. Don't be turned off by the title. Read through it and get yourself a summary so that you can see what really happened during the times of the Old Testament, if in fact you can believe any of it at all. Make sure that you become aware of becoming really genuinely comfortable with people of different socioeconomic levels, people that look different than you, and start to advocate for the fact that it shouldn't just be men shot in the street for no good reason, but for their skin color and the fear that's been built up around this for as long as it has. If we're going to make reparations, we need to be willing to say, we're really sorry about what's happened historically and historically, and then we're going to need to move into a place where people can truly be supported, where children aren't farmed off into obedience institutions, and where older people are not farmed off into assisted living with young people that can hardly keep up with really carrying out a job. They have no energy. Can you wake up? Can you spread the good message after you've seen this course? I'm going to keep this course at a very low price. This is my work. This is how I feed the pack that I live with, that is obligate to living with human beings right now. I can't just turn them free at a park without them being picked up and resold out through the animal shelters, because that's what they do. They do a lot of good things, and in the same token, they're also going to get readopted out to other people once they're sterilized, immunized, and chemicalized with a food system. For you to become domesticated means that you're going to lay down, turn on your alarm clock, and you're going to submit to everything that you've been told. It means that you've got to take your time, you got to take some deep breaths, and you got to think to yourself, well, maybe I liked about 60% of the course, and 40% of it really offended me. That's okay. I'm not here to offend you. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to bring intelligent information. You need to seek out information for yourself so you can make good conscious decisions. We can and we will walk away from domination and domestication. Otherwise, we're walking straight into the same situation as these factory farmed animals, and that's not good. I hope you enjoyed the course. I hope that you feel excited enough to want to ask other people to do the course, share what you've learned with them verbally. It also helps to support me in my life. That's how I pay for my food and for me to get by. I'm hoping to get into an RV with the dogs. I'm looking for benefactors that would love to help support my work so that I can get out and I can spread the message and I can work actively towards this as an elder now. So I want to say thank you for joining me, and I wish you well.